Hello everyone, this is the first video for the lessons on probability. The first topic that we're going to be going over is experimental probability. So the probability of a specific event is the chance or likelihood that it will occur. There are several ways of viewing probability. One would be experimental in nature, where we repeatedly conduct an experiment. So basically, we perform an experiment, we repeat it over and over, we record the outcomes, then we base the likelihood of something happening off of that information. Here are some examples of experimental probability. Flipping a coin. So suppose we flipped a coin over and over and over again, and it came up heads about half of the time. We would expect that in the future, whenever we flip the coin, it would turn up heads about half of the time. Another example is a weather report. So when a weather reporter says there is a 10% chance of rain tomorrow, she is basing that on prior evidence, that out of all the days with similar weather patterns, it has rained on 1 out of 10 of those days. The next topic that we will be discussing is subjective probability. So another view would be subjective in nature. In other words, it would be an educated guess. Here are some examples. Probability that a certain team will win a baseball game. So if someone asked you the probability that the Seattle Mariners would win their next baseball game, it would be impossible to conduct an experiment where the same two teams played each other repeatedly, each time with the same starting lineup and starting pitchers, each starting at the same time of day on the same field under precisely the same conditions. Since there are too many variables to take into account, someone familiar with baseball and with the two teams involved might make an educated guess that there is a 75% chance they will win the game. That is, if the same two teams were to play each other repeatedly under identical conditions, the Mariners would win about 3 out of every 4 games. But this is just a guess, with no way to verify its accuracy. And depending upon how educated the educated guesser is, a subjective probability may not be worth very much at all. The next topic we're going to be discussing is theoretical probability. We will return to the experimental and subjective probabilities from time to time, but in this course we will mostly be concerned with theoretical probability. Here is the definition. Suppose there is a situation with n equally likely possible outcomes, and that m of those n outcomes correspond to a particular event. Then the probability of that event is defined as m over n. The next vocabulary word we have is outcome. An outcome is the result of an experiment. This is called an outcome. Next we have event. An event is any particular outcome or group of outcomes. Simple event. An event that cannot be broken down further. Sample space. The sample space is the set of all possible simple events. So if you roll a die, pick a card from a deck of playing cards, or randomly select a person and observe their hair color, we are executing an experiment or procedure. In probability, we look at the likelihood of different outcomes.